Good morning, viewers. Welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel. And today we're working on a 2017 Toyota Corolla with the 1.8 liter engine. And today we are going to be servicing the rear drum brakes. And we are also going to be doing the adjustment for the parking brake. So now I removed the wheel off camera because I already know that everybody knows how to take off the wheel and to put it on. So anyhow, the drum is exposed. So usually you would have to use like a hammer to knock the drum off. But if the vehicle has been previously serviced in the past, then you should be able to take off the drum without any issues. Now, in case that the drum is stuck, there's a trick that you can do, but the issue is that you should only do this only if you are replacing the shoes and the hardware, because the method that I'm going to be showing you at the moment is it could damage the shoes and the springs can come out. So in case that if you're not able to get it off, there are two holes. There are two threaded holes that you can use. They are an M8 by 1.25 thread pitch. So you can use two bolts like this to thread them in. This only works only if the threads are not too badly like rusted or damaged. So you can do this, and you can evenly tighten the two bolts side to side. So you got to make sure that you tighten it up evenly, and then that will help to force the drum off. But in this case, this vehicle has been routinely serviced, so this drum just comes out easily. Now if you're having a hard time trying to get the drum off, there's also a rubber inspection. There's a window in the back in which you're able to back off the star wheel adjuster. There's a star wheel adjuster that you're able to back off from behind, and that will allow the shoes to retract back in, and that will help you to take the drum off. If you look in the back, you see the rubber piece. There's a rubber piece here that comes out, so you're able to take it out. You can insert a screwdriver and you can adjust the star wheel then through the hole here. So before you start the service, you want to inspect the shoes. Make sure that there is enough friction material for servicing, because if the shoes are too worn down, then it's probably best to replace them. So one other thing you want to check is the diameter of the drum to make sure it's still safe to use. You can see that there's a maximum diameter of 229.6 millimeters. So it's probably best to measure the diameter from one end to the other, so to make sure that the drum is still good. Now, usually if you have reached this number or more, then you will need to replace the drums. So as you are in here, it's probably a good idea to have a look at the wheel bearing, the hub, and make sure that there's no like roughness or noise or any play. Make sure everything is okay, because you have the drum off. So now is the time to inspect everything. You also want to inspect the wheel cylinders for any leakage. If there's any traces of brake fluid. Typically, if there's any traces of brake fluid, that would signify that the wheel cylinders are leaking. So you got to make sure that you are checking that. And you can also push in the piston to make sure that they are moving, and retract back, because if they don't move or retract back, then that would mean that the wheel cylinders are seizing up or binding up. So you want to make sure that the piston on both sides are moving freely. You don't want to push too hard on these, because it's possible to damage them. You just want to push a little bit. You don't want to go too much on one side. And one other thing that I forgot to mention is that if you're having trouble trying to take the drum off, you want to make sure that the parking brake is disengaged, because if the parking brake is on, then you won't be able to take the drums off. So make sure that the parking brake is off, because I've seen people before that the parking brake was on and they're trying to fight with the drum. So just make sure that the parking brake is off before you attempt to remove the drum. So anyhow, the first thing you want to do before you start servicing is to wash down any traces of brake dust with some brake cleaner, because you don't want to be breathing that stuff. So you want to take you probably want to take like a can of brake cleaner and spray it down well to clean down all of the brake dust. And now you don't want to be cheap with using the brake cleaner, so make sure you use a generous amount, because spraying very lightly is not really going to do much. So you want to be generous with the brake cleaner, but at the same time, don't waste it. So you can start cleaning down the edges. If there's any like rust buildup, you can use a flathead screwdriver on the outer part of the backing plate. Clean down any rust. And then after, we are going to sand down the shoes. So you want to make sure that you inspect the shoes for any cracking or any like overheated marks, because if there's too many cracks on the shoes, that will tell you that the friction material has been overheated. And you also want to push on the corners to make sure that the bonded material are not loose, because there are sometimes the friction material can go loose onto the backing of the shoe. Now the vehicle is roughly 119,000 kilometers. It's still on the original drum brakes. It's probably been serviced probably like once or twice over the course or the life of the vehicle. You can still see the Toyota symbol on the friction material on the part number. So now I have 80 grit sandpaper, aluminum oxide sandpaper. You can pretty much use any type of sandpaper. It doesn't really matter. 80 grit or 120 grit works fine. So just sand down the shoes now. So you just want to sand down just enough to get a good and smooth surface. You don't want to go too overboard with this. And so now you want to do the other side too. Now in some cases, if you're having some noise issues, there are some situations you can chamfer down the edges with the sandpaper a tiny bit, and sometimes that will help a little bit if you're having any noise problems. But this vehicle is not having any issues. We are just doing a service on this. So now we're just going to clean the hub a little bit. You can also use like a wire brush to clean the inner and the outer edges, so to clean all of the rust down. Any type of rust or pieces of dirt inside here, then it will be possible that the brakes could make noise and could also cause abrasion against the shoes, the friction material. So you want to make sure that you do a good clean and clean everything out. Routine service is very important because all of the dirt and the dust and stuff inside, they kind of act like an abrasive. So it's very bad for like the shoes and the drums if you don't do routine service. And routine service helps to make sure that everything is moving freely and that things don't get seized or stuck. So once you are finished your cleaning, you can take the brake cleaner again and to clean everything again. One other thing I forgot to mention, if you have excessive rust on the edges here, you can just take a sanding wheel or something, or a wire wheel, and just to clean a light clean around here, just to clean any like surface rust or anything. You don't want to overdo it. Just if there's like a heavy buildup or surface rust, you can just clean, can lightly clean on the edges here, because when you reinstall the drum, you don't want anything to rub on the outer edge of the backing plate, because that can cause noise if there's enough rust buildup between the drum and the backing plate. So if you look here, you can see on the outer edge of the backing plate over here. So if there's enough rust buildup on here and on the edge here, it's possible that it can rub against the backing plate on the vehicle and cause noise. So now we are just almost done on the stuff here on the vehicle. I'm just going to clean the drum first, and then I'm going to go back here to service the contact points and the adjuster and everything afterwards. So if you don't have like something like a die grinder or something, you can always use a sandpaper or something like that, and that works too. So I'm just going to clean. Just going to lightly clean some of the rust here. It's not too bad because it's been previously serviced, so there isn't too much rust. So I'm just going to clean down with the sanding disc. And finally, you want to clean the inside here. You just want to smoothen it out. You can use sandpaper or a die grinder. It doesn't really matter. Just go back and forth. And you also want to clean the edges here if there's any rust. There are sometimes that rust can build up on the edge on where the shoe contacts. So you just do a light clean on that. It's not going to be perfect because brakes usually have a non-directional finish, so you're gonna see all kinds of scratches and stuff when you are servicing it, and that's fine. And that's very normal because brakes need to have a non-directional finish. So anyhow, we're just gonna clean the inside hub. Now we are just going to do the outside here. So once you're done cleaning the drum, you can install it backwards like this. Spray some brake cleaner to clean all of the dirt and debris and any of the metallic particles. You guys have to understand that it's not going to be 100% perfect because these are brakes, right? So it's not going to be like whistle clean. So just do the best you can, and just to clean down the rust and everything the best you can, but always make sure that you don't go overboard, because then if you grind down too much, of anything, and it could damage the component. So you just want to be like moderate with all of the components of the brake system. You don't want to over clean. You don't want to overdo the service. Make sure that all of the dirt is taken out. So now we're just going to service the adjuster. Just spray a little bit over here. I'm using a fluid film spray. You can use the like white grease, the lithium white grease or something. And we're just going to adjust this maybe a couple clicks, 2 or 3 clicks. So let's say 3 clicks is good. You don't want to over adjust it, because if you over adjust it, you won't be able to put the drum on. And also that if you are able to put the drum on, it's possible to wear down the shoes. It will wear down the shoes faster and overheat the shoes and the drum. So you don't want to over adjust. Just adjust as needed. So you have to watch out for that. I'll show you after I'm done. After we reinstall the drum and everything, then I'll show you how to know if the adjustment is good. You can spray down on the springs, back of the bolts here for the hub. You just need to do a light spray. You don't want to spray it too much. This helps the springs and stuff to prevent rust. So now we are going to lubricate the contact points. There are 3 contact points on each side, so a total of 6. So you just want to carefully use a flathead screwdriver to push back so you're able to access the contact point. You just spray in behind there. The same this one, because that there is not much room to fit to fit a brush in there. It may be a little difficult. Usually I spray them. I've seen some guys use some anti-seize or caliper lube and get from behind there, but it will be difficult. But usually I like to spray a lot better, because that's easier. And then now the bottom contact point at the very bottom. And in case if you got anything on the friction material, you can spray some brake cleaner on a piece of cloth, on a shop towel, a blue shop towel or something. You can spray some brake cleaner. And you can just you can give the shoe a quick wipe, so that way it's cleaned off, in case if you sprayed anything accidentally. And it's going to be the same procedure for the other shoe as well. You want to do this to make sure everything is moving freely. It's probably best to push the shoes back and forth to get the shoes to to glide or to slide on the lubricant, so that everything is lubricated properly. And once again, if you need to clean the shoes down, if you accidentally got anything on it, you can just give it a quick wipe, and that's fine. So now we're all good. We're just gonna put some anti-seize on the hub. I know that some guys they don't like using this, but to each their own. It's really up to you on what you want to use. You can use like white grease or fluid film or whatever you want to call it. Just put some anti-seize here. And if you got some on the threads here, on the wheel studs, you can just do a quick wipe, because I know that it's not a good idea to get anti-seize on the studs. So now we're all done. You can just make sure that wipe any excess, if there's any of the spray that I sprayed on, and you can just reinstall the drum now. Now you may need to install a lug nut to properly check that the drum brakes have been properly adjusted. You need to use a lug nut, so that way you can use like one or two of the lug nuts to verify that the drums are properly adjusted. It's because that if you don't use the lug nuts, you may not get like a proper feel of the drum brake. So the whole purpose of the adjustment for the shoes is that you want a minimal amount of drag as possible, so that the shoes are just barely touching the drums, so that the shoes are close to the surface inside the drums. So you just want to adjust it so that you feel and hear just a minimal amount of drag. Now usually it should spin maybe like 1 to 1.5 times, and it should stop. So this is good. I'm happy with this. So you can see, if you listen closely, you'll be able to hear the shoes slightly drag on the drum. So if you spin this and you see that it spins non-stop, then you know that it needs to be adjusted more. So you got to make sure it spins maybe like 1 to 1.5 times. But after I put the wheel on, we'll double check, and I still have to do the other side. I'm not going to show that because it's the same exact thing. This is the passenger side that I've been working on in the video. So after we are finished, we are going to have a look at the parking brake, and to see on how it is. So now I'm just going to remove the lug nuts. Just going to put some anti-seize on the outside. And a little bit of some spray, just to prevent rust, to make it easy to remove the wheels for next time. So I'm working on the other side now. There is one thing I forgot to mention. You want to inspect the drum, the inside, for any heavy scoring or overheat marks or any cracks inside the drum. So you want to make sure that it's still safe to use, because if it's not safe to use, like there's cracks or is heavily, like badly and heavily scored, then it's probably best to not service them, to just replace everything, the shoes, the drums, and the hardware kit. So we just want to make sure that the material is still good, the metal is still good, and also that it does not exceed the maximum diameter. And one other thing I wanted to mention is that when you service the drum brakes, it's going to improve and help with the pedal feel. It'll give you a firmer brake pedal, because more often than not, the rear brakes, they help with the brake pedal feel, so it affects the pedal height. That's why it's so important to routinely service the rear drum brakes, because it's going to help with the braking. And one other thing that you need to do when you are inspecting the wheel cylinders, that to not mistake brake fluid for the assembly grease or assembly lube. There are sometimes you'll see some traces of grease, and that's normal. That's just the assembly grease when the manufacturer, when they assembled the wheel cylinder. So that's okay. You want to be very careful, because I've seen some people, they called wheel cylinders and they were not leaking and everything was working fine still. So just make sure that when you are inspecting inside the boot, to make sure that you are seeing that if the wheel cylinders are leaking, make sure that it's brake fluid and not the assembly grease. So you have to watch out for that. So now I temporarily install the wheel on the passenger side for now, so I can just show a demonstration, because I still have to do some other services on this vehicle. So I'm going to spin the tire very lightly, and it will spin like a couple times or so, and then it should stop. And so this is pretty good. You don't want to have too much drag on the wheel, because then it's going to wear out the shoes and overheat the drum and everything else. So this is okay. And the vehicle will automatically adjust after you drive it for a while. So I'm going to go inside the vehicle now and have a look at the parking brake. So now I'm just inside the vehicle. We're just going to have a look at the parking brake, make sure if it feels okay. Usually there will be a specification like 6 to 9 clicks. I think this vehicle is 6 to 9 clicks. I'll put the specifications on the screen. So when you go up, you should count the number of clicks, and usually there's a specified range in which it is normal. So that's another indicator on how you know that the drum brakes are adjusted properly. So we are going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's pretty much the maximum travel. So it's 9 clicks at the very max. So this is good. Usually it should be 6 to 9 clicks, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. One other thing I wanted to mention, if you want the parking brake to adjust right away and help for the adjustment, when you are reversing the vehicle, if you are backing out of the driveway or parking lot, you can slowly lift up on the parking brake and release, and do that several times as you are backing up, and the mechanism on the star wheel adjuster will adjust itself, because on some vehicles the adjustment does not work until the vehicle goes in reverse. And so the way the mechanism works, you have to apply the parking brake in reverse, and then that will help to do the adjustment. Now, for the minor adjustment, the vehicle will adjust it by itself when you drive normally, and you don't have to adjust the drum brakes 100% perfect, because the vehicle will automatically adjust it for you. The vehicle's rear drum brakes can only do minor adjustments, so it cannot do like a major adjustment like how we did now. We did a manual adjustment on this, so if it's too over adjusted or too under adjusted, then it's not going to work properly. So you have to adjust it properly first. So as you are reversing the vehicle, just go up and down like this. And that should help to adjust the rear drum brakes for you. You just need to do this a few times. You don't need to go all the way. Just up and down like this, as you are slowly reversing. You don't want to go at a fast speed. Just when you're slowly backing up, apply and release the parking brake as you are moving the vehicle. You can do that a few times, and then that's going to help to do the adjustment. So the way that the star wheel adjuster works, it adjusts over time as the shoes wear down. So when you do a brake service like this, it needs to adjust to where it needs to go. So that's how it works. I can't explain in great detail on how the mechanism works, but that's the idea of the system. So just make sure that you go for a good road test, and make sure the brakes are working properly and the parking brake is working properly and it's holding properly, and that's it. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and please don't forget to hit that bell notification if you haven't done so. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care.